Welcome to the In My Opinion show with Ronald Berry Robinson and friends. Seen on the internet 24 hours, 7 days a week. To view, go to flinttalkradio.com. Scroll down and access the In My Opinion show. The In My Opinion show is also seen on Flint Comcast Cable, Channel 17, every Saturday at 6 and every Wednesday at 8:30. We are also seen on Detroit, Michigan, Comcast Cable, Channel 68, 7 days a week. We have a wonderful panel with us today. I want to welcome Judge Herman Marable, Jr. to the show. I want to also welcome my friend and buddy, Mr. Henry Hatter.
Thank you, Ron.
Welcome to the In My Opinion
Thanks
show.
for having me, Ron.
You're more than welcome. Let's talk about military foreclosure. The rate is up 30% over 2008, according to USA Today. More than 20,000 veterans, active duty troops, and reservists who took out special government-backed mortgages lost their homes last year, the highest number since 2003. The rate of foreclosure filings in 2010 is among zip code 163 codes located near military bases rose 32% over 2008, according to Reality Track, a foreclosure research firm. This compares with a 2010 increase in foreclosure filings nationally of 23% over 2008. My problem with this is these soldiers are sacrificing their lives for our country, and it appears that the federal government and their lending institutions are abandoning them, and I think this is a travesty. Henry, what is your thoughts?
Judge, that's a good question, but I think, though, before we get into the debate of the issue, there's more to this question than what is on the surface. Now, military men, like everybody else, and I support them without question, but they have a responsibility to maintain good credit and keep their affairs in order. Whether they're in the military or whether they're home, they must provide for families, and many of them that you're talking about have families. And of course the government has an obligation, but there are systems out there in place to provide for individuals who find themselves in distress at this time, and they have to comply with those systems. We can't just go out and change systems and wholeheartedly go out and support a burden that the federal government does not have money to support. And but I do think that banks, and we have a problem with the banks do not want to let them have this money, and perhaps has a lot to do with their credit ratings and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that we should mix our sympathy for the job that they do with their responsibility as individuals. Those are two separate things. And believe me, I am one of those who, without equivocation, support our militaries. But they do have an obligation.
Well, of course they have an obligation, but I guess in our earlier conversation off screen, we talked about that when these military reservists are called into duty 2 and 3 and 4 times, all right, when they first took out the mortgages, I'm just assuming now that they had the criteria to do that. All right, they probably were making $40, $50, $60,000 or more. Some of them even more than that. All right, but when they're called to active duty, that salary that they were getting becomes more or less mute. Okay, the military, they go by the military pay scale. So how in the world can you, if you're making 80, we'll use 80,000 as an example. You buy a house, all right? You go into the reserves and maybe you're making 20,000 now, maybe 25. How in the world, and you had good credit, how in the world can you sustain that? You can't. Judge Marable, what's your thoughts?
Well, you know, I am a judge in the district court, and I deal with foreclosure actions all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't just something that's affecting military families. I mean, in cities like Flint and other cities and states across the country, you know, this is a persistent problem. Michigan, California, you know, Nevada, a lot of states, a lot of places are being hit hard. You know, I think that it would be beneficial if during the times when we have our fighting people on active duty, that there be some kind of way of waiving or delaying, you know, some of the payments that need to be made so that they don't fall behind. Now, you know, we already have laws that protect military people from civil lawsuits while they are on active duty in the military. You know, you're not allowed to sue somebody while they're you know, are on active duty. So I mean, I think there are things that can be done to try to help with this problem, but it's something that's affecting lots of people across the board.
And I have to support Judge Marable in his statement there. That's what we need to find. We need to find that process to enable support to the several 100,000 men that we got in the military for short durations, 2 years, 3 years, or whatever, how long that person is in the military, as a supplement, not as a gift, but as a supplement that would ease his obligation to his creditors with respect to their home, the foreclosures. Not everything else, but the foreclosures. I think that this is the biggest investment that he'll or she will ever make, and we need to somehow protect that interest for military men.
Of course, and I also, let me just include this, is that you would think that maybe with our millions of viewers worldwide, maybe somebody will be listening and take this to heed, is that if you're called on for active duty, all right, in my opinion, all right, then those payments should be set aside till you come back home and resume your job, okay? Because you sure as hell can't make a $1,000 house note. You know what I mean? When you're used to earning $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year on $20,000, and you got a family to support too.
That's right? Unrealistic. That's
well, it might be unrealistic, but these people are providing security for these lending institutions. You know what I mean? With their life, and you can't have a higher calling than to give your life for your country, and so your country should give something back to you. It's not that you're trying to avoid these payments, all right? But hey, I bought my house on good faith. Sure, I'm sure some of these 20,000, 30,000, had bad credit, but I'm sure the vast majority of them had good credit when they bought that property, okay, or that car, or what have you, okay. Now, to go in and possibly die or get hurt for your country, and then to come back and all of this shit is gone, all right. It's unbearable. No wonder some of these soldiers go nuts. Am I right or wrong? What suggestions would you have as just as Joe Citizen to maybe rectify or create a program to help these men and women?
Well, I think again, it's just as you can't sue active duty military people, I don't understand why legislation can't be introduced to delay the payments, or certainly to delay the foreclosure. Of course, you know, a lot of this depends on, you know, in whose name, you know, the houses are bought in. I mean, we're talking about military families, so, you know, you might be talking about the spouse that's home, you know, that gets hit with the foreclosure if you have both names on the house. So, you know, with all of the people that we have in the Senate or in the Congress that represent districts in states that have a heavy military presence, I'm surprised that this hasn't been better addressed, if it hasn't already up to this point. It's kind of surprising.
And let me just add this too. You know, you're talking about 20, 30,000 military people you're losing their houses, all right, because they cannot afford it. What about these? You know, I mean, it's crazy. You got millions of other folk, all right, that wouldn't lift a finger to help their neighbor, let alone put their life on the line, that are losing their houses.
Yeah, Ron, and
I mean, we got a different, you know, there's a different category, I think, here.
Well, the other thing is, now, maybe a banker would say, and I don't know, I don't speak for the bankers, I speak for me. A banker might say, well, you know, I can understand, you know, they are serving their country and all, but we have an all-voluntary military. So people make whatever career choices they make. I suppose, I'm playing devil's advocate here, but I suppose there are people who would make that argument, that if you choose a career where it's going to be subject, your income's going to be subject to going up and down depending on, you know, what you're doing, then that's the career you chose.
Well, that could be true too, but as you said, we have an all-volunteer army, okay, but when you go into the reserves, which in most branches you have to, or you are, or you do, okay, and then you're called back 2 and 3 and 4 times, that puts a different spin on the situation, in my opinion. Okay? Volunteer Army, sure. Go in there, do my 4 years, and I'm out. All right? But now, since I'm on reserve, here Uncle Sam is calling me back. A second time, a third time, a fourth time, a 5th time. Now, how in the world can you recover from that? You can't.
Ron, now, you've initiated this discussion here, and it's just talk. Unless we find a way to do what Judge Marable has suggested. There are some provisions in law already that protects military men from lawsuits. But maybe people are not hearing us. What's the next step? What should you do to be an advocate for change here? You got to take it someplace. Sure. Otherwise, it's just lost over the internet or over the immediate folks who are watching the show today. What should we do?
In my opinion, the military should supersede this. They should take. These people are dying for their country. They're in the military. The military should supersede.
Who do you take the argument to? Who do you take the argument to? Find someone that we can ask to come on the show and talk about this.
Well, I'm sending an appeal out to President Barack Obama. Okay? And whomever else is up there in Congress.
Well, I think any congressman that has a military base in their district, you know, this is a...
That too.
Well, invite one on the show.
Well, we'll have anyone interested in coming on the show and explain this. Please email me at, in my opinion, rbr@att.net or contact the flinttalkradio.com.
Candace Miller, Republican.
Candace Miller, you're more than welcome to come on the show.
Selfridge Air Force Base.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And explain to me why the U.S. government and state representatives in various states aren't supporting their troops.
Thank you. Good job.
Well, we'll see if she comes on.
Okay.
That's a show I'd watch.
It's an open invitation. and whoever else can help in this dilemma, this outrage, actually. We're going to change subjects here. Stop pension tax. Cut legislature to part-time instead. In Michigan, maybe that would help. Okay. This is in regard to Governor Snyder's proposed tax on retiree pensions to help boost revenue for the state. Seniors' pensions are already small enough. What with health care being taken out and going up all the time, higher federal withholding now, and the cost of rising gas, food, and clothing prices, there's not much left. And especially with these doggone gas prices. I paid $4.45 a gallon. This is ridiculous. Now Governor Snyder wants to take more money out of the pensions of people who can least afford it. The people of Michigan and the country are being taxed enough. It is only a matter of time before the politicians find a way to tax the air we breathe and the sun that shines. Mr. Republican, what's your thoughts?
Well, Ron, thank you so much. I heard you talk about how much you paid for the gas per gallon driving up here. You paid $4.49?
Yeah, 45, something like that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. But you can afford it.
Who can?
So there's a difference.
No, I can't. No, I can't. I'm on a pension.
Okay. Now, with respect to the pension, the state is broke. I don't know whether you know that. And I don't know how many ways we can say that. The state is broke. Revenue sharing has all but dried up back to communities. And the school district is, the state aid fund is $500 million short for 2010, 2011.
Well, they ought to take some of that lotto money and
the lottery only generates $60 million a year. And our budget for the school is $15 billion a year. $15 billion. We only collect $60 million from the lottery. There's a big disparity, a big gap. So, and now you want to talk also about the uprising of folks going to Lansing and protesting this as well? Is that part of your discussion?
And I'll be up there tomorrow.
Okay. Well, the state is broke, Ron, and I know that there are many people who want to. And I think that one of the things that the NAACP did that I would not have advised, and that is to take sides on that issue of protecting bargaining rights.
We have to. That's just another assault on social. I mean, on human rights.
The state is broke.
And civil rights.
Somebody who has the money has to make some sacrifices here. The state's broke. The highest level of funding in the state right now of any employer is our teachers. They have the biggest share of the wealth that's being generated individually in the state. And what the governor is asking for me, you, and I know Judge Marable is not yet receiving a pension, but from you and me, it is asking
No,
us,
but I'm a state employee though.
Yeah. Well,
And,
that's good. Yeah.
You know.
That's okay. You can afford to give up part of that too.
Well.
But
see, I don't want Governor Snyder asking me for shit.
Well.
Because I don't have it, and I worked all these years, okay, to be able to get this. All right. I'm not a millionaire like he is.
Well, let me lay it out for you first, Ron. He's only asking for a small portion of your retirement benefits to supplement maintaining these high wages for teachers and state employees.
I was a state employee before I retired. We deserve every penny we get, okay? And those teachers, you know what I mean, deserve, not all of them, because some of them ain't worth shit, but we deserve everything we get.
Well, all Snyder's asking for is for the teachers to pay about 15% into their retirement benefit funds. And
why shouldn't they? They negotiated. All of this stuff has been negotiated.
Things have changed. And he's asking them to pay about 10% into the health care fund. Now, that is not much. I think that we all pay that much. At least even the folks at General Motors pay probably more than that. So what they want to do is build back income in the state so the state can function. Now, if General Motors ran into a problem where it could not pay its bills, it would sell off its assets and pay its bills off. Right?
No, the federal
But
government
the
will bail them out.
They declare bankruptcy and the government bails them out.
That's only, this is how businesses operate in this country. You guys are trivializing this argument.
No,
But I won't
that's what
listen to
happened.
it, but that's a trivial argument, and that is not the trend in this country. But if government goes broke, guess what? Government does nothing. It will not pay the teachers. It will not pay the benefits. Nothing. It just says it doesn't have any money.
What you doing here? I get so sick and tired of these scare tactics.
Henry, that's not that. Henry, now let's go back to reality just for a second.
This is reality.
Well, no, but you want to poo-poo the notion that General Motors, Chrysler, and a lot of big corporations do get government help, do get government bailouts.
But that's trivialize that argument.
Because
they continue to do that.
No, but
any
because
that
it is
hold tomorrow
no
in the state will sell off its assets and pay off its
because it is said that certain companies, certain entities are too large to fail because it would affect too many people. So we, as a matter of public policy, bail out large corporations because
only once you bailed out General Motors Corporation. That was this time.
Chrysler 2 times.
Chrysler, yeah.
I mean,
and this is what these are the people that provide the jobs in the state. They create the wealth in the state. There's no other entity that creates wealth other than industries. No other entity. Banks don't do it. Parents don't do it. Children, school districts don't do it. They absorb wealth. Corporations create wealth. And we have to empower our corporations.
I guess the point I'm trying to make to you is to suggest that everything is run strictly on the free market is not true. Because if that was the case, General Motors would have been allowed to fail, Chrysler would have been allowed to fail, the banks that were bailed out in 2008. When the crash happened, would have been allowed to fail. And a lot of people made the argument that they should have been allowed to fail.
You would have had anarchy.
Well,
I think it's coming here in the United States.
But you can't, I guess you have to, that is reality. And your point was, you said that's a triviality, and it's not.
It's a trivial argument, because that is not the trend in this country. We've had a better performance for businesses in this country than what has happened to General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler over the past several years. Sure. And they were part of the problem. They should have been downsizing.
Actually, I think Ford was the only one that didn't ask for any money.
But they also had the problem. No, you're right. They did not ask for the money. General Motors should have been downsizing in the 70s and 80s. They kept putting these people on the rolls and stuff like that, and selling off the assets and losing market share at the same time.
So are you making the argument that basically if an entity like a corporation makes bad decisions, they should suffer the consequences? Is that the argument that you're making?
No, I'm not making that. I'm saying that was poor judgment in the corporation at that time. But the large segment, when you take a look at the proportion of the influence that corporations had over the overall job market in the United States, it was too large for the government to let that fail. It would impact too many people. That's the point that I wanted to make.
Well, if Snyder goes ahead with this, it still has to go through the process in Lansing and so forth. But if he goes through with this, it's going to impact a whole lot of people. All right, a whole lot of people. And I'll get back to me. All right. I was a state employee before I retired. All right. All those years when I punched that clock, going into them penitentiaries, all right, to work, my life was on the line. All right. You never knew what was going to go on. All right. I worked at 2 or 3 different prisons where one of the officers in each one of them got murdered by an inmate. All right. The teachers, they spent that money, grants, loans, whatever, to go to school, to get their degrees, okay? The state police put their lives on the line every day, okay? These state employees, same way with judges and you know and everybody else that are of the state government, okay, deserves every penny they get.
But in order to restabilize in this country, we got to have leaders. We got to have some leadership. We got to bite the bullet. The individual people like you, Judge, and you, and I have to bite the bullet to save ourselves from ourselves.
I ain't biting shit, okay? Just leave my pensions alone, you folks, okay? And every other state employee, teacher or otherwise. We've had a wonderful discussion. I would like to mention Judge Marable's Student of the Year month. Judge, take it away.
Ron, you know, we talked about the Student of the Month, Student of the Year program in years past. We hit a milestone back at the end of last school year. We named our 50th, 50th
okay.
Student of the Month. And we've been doing this program since 2004 now.
Mm-hmm.
We are a county-wide program. If you're a 10th grader and you live in Genesee County or attend a school located in Genesee County, you can apply to be the Judge Marable Student of the Month. You have to write an essay about your career goals and fill out the application and send it in. I think that they're probably putting up the phone number 810-597-7795. And the website address is judgemarable.net. You can download the application right there. But we're really proud of the fact that we've had actually now over 50 students named as Students of the Month. And I've had the ability to track some of the students as they've gone on, and some of the kids that we had in our first years are juniors and seniors in college. And working, some of them are working through school. We have kids who are preparing to go off to college. At my alma mater, Michigan State University, the James Madison College Public Policy School. In the fall, we're going to have one kid in each class from our program. So we're just really happy about how things have gone, and we certainly would encourage, if you live in Genesee County and if you know a 10th grade student, to encourage them to sign up for the Judge Marable Student of the Month program.
Well,
congratulations.
Congratulations, Judge Marable. That's a wonderful thing that you're doing down there. But at this time, unfortunately, we must bring the In My Opinion show to a close. First, we want to thank our viewers, our guests, our technical staff. Until next time, stay focused.